Last week I filmed a video where I talked about some of the most cursed or controversial makeup products over the years, and it was so much fun. You guys seem to really enjoy it. So I thought I'd kind of continue on with that vibe by talking about my top 10 oldest makeup palettes and are they still worth it, and would Allie from 2026 repurchase them today? So grab a snack, bestie, grab a drink, because we're about to throw it back with some of these old palettes. So last week's video was so much fun to film, and I kind of want to start like a beauty history series here on my channel. But because I had so much fun with that video, I really decided to go through my collection to see if I had any of those like cursed or controversial makeup products. And it got me thinking, wait, what if I did a video where I ranked some of my oldest makeup palettes and whether or not I would still buy them today, use them today, do they still hold up today? I thought it'd be so much fun. So I have 10 palettes sitting in front of me. Most of them are from like 2018, 2019. I think one of them is from 2020, but these are really old palettes. I mean, we're talking like almost 10 years old. We're talking about like really old palettes. Most of these palettes are either 7 to 8 years old, definitely more on the expired side, but you know what? That's neither here or there. So we're gonna dive into number 10. So coming in at number 10, we have our first influencer palette. And this influencer is, and this is a throwback, subscribe to my channel before you leave. Subscribe to my channel before you leave. Subscribe. Do you guys remember when Miss Laura Lee used to do that intro? Because I absolutely do. And she used to go into the next clip. Oh my god, she doesn't do that anymore. She stopped doing that years ago. But she launched her first ever palette, which is the Laura Lee Los Angeles Cat's Pajama palette. Now when this originally launched, I want to say it was like somewhere in 2017. This was the first product that launched her entire brand, Laura Lee Los Angeles, and it actually did sell out within the first couple of days of her launching this, which was pretty surprising. Like thinking about it now, that this actually sold out within the first couple of days of it launching, which I thought was actually a fantastic feat. But it wasn't until she launched her Nudie Patootie palette that really kind of put her brand out there. That's what people really fell in love with. That's what kind of got her new image. Now she did have to kind of rebrand herself. She had to get rid of the Nudie Patootie line because of the fact that it was already trademarked by somebody else. So she had to switch it over to Minim LA, and she ended up closing that brand in May of 2025. So that brand no longer exists. So Laura Lee Los Angeles and Minim LA no longer exists, but I still have her OG palette right here. So this is the Cat's Pajamas palette. First off, the outside packaging, even she said that this is like she would redo this palette if she could. She's like, I don't know what that is. It's flowers. It's flowers. But then when you open it up, it's silver. It's silver. And then when you open it up, it's that weird flower color story again. Now, like I said, this was the first, I want to say influencer palette. I think this came out right around the same time as either Jaclyn Cosmetics or Dominique Cosmetics, but I remember this was Laura Lee's first one. I know this came out before Lunar Beauty did, because I remember I bought this. Like, I remember when I bought this, I had just gotten into YouTube. I gotten into makeup. I was watching Miss Laura Lee do all her thing because she kind of had oily skin at the time, and listen to her say oil. I don't remember how she said it, but she used to say oil really fascinating to me. It's like, oh, she's a Southern girl that has really oily skin. Let me follow her. And then I just ended up falling in love with her over the years. But here's her Cat's Pajamas palette. Now, the formula on this is not a formula that I would like in 2026. In 2017, this is a pretty decent formula. I think I liked it for what it is. The color story is pretty decent. It's really more on the safe side for those who really do love a neutral moment. So you definitely can use this every single day. I understand why she created the color story that she did, but the formula now, oh, besties, no. The formula is so lackluster. It lacks depth, it lacks pigmentation, it doesn't feel creamy and buttery. It just doesn't have that formula that I typically look for when it comes to an eyeshadow palette. Now, if she would launch this today in 2026, Allie now would not buy it. As much as I do love Laura Lee, I would not buy this. This is not a color story that I personally do gravitate to. The packaging, the inside color, the packaging, from the packaging to the color story to the formula, it's just very, very 2017 era time frame for me for me to actually want to enjoy it and buy it. So I do think it's great. Like I said, this is what kicked off her brand. This is kind of put her, put her name out there. She did finance this herself. This is where it kind of got her to rediscover what she really loved, which was the Nudie Patootie line, where she went that more Minim look. That's just something she's really been obsessed with, and this just kind of was like the catalyst that started it all. But yeah, out of all my OG palettes, a lot of my oldest palettes, this is like probably one of the oldest ones I own, and one that I'll always hold on to. But it's not one that I would buy today. Coming in at number 9, this palette sold out immediately, like immediately, and it's the Urban Decay collaboration with Game of Thrones. This is probably one of the first biggest licensed collabs that had happened back in the day. Now, when this sold out, it sold out fast. Not only did this sell out, but the entire Volt collection for $250 also sold out immediately, which really kind of took the beauty world by surprise because that's a really expensive collection. Think about back in like 2018 time frame, that is really expensive for what it was, and it sold out so unbelievably fast. But the reason why this sold out so quickly was because this was like the first huge licensed collaborator with anybody out there, and it's with Game of Thrones. Like no other brand has ever done a Game of Thrones palette collection. This was the first and only one, and this is a palette that I will cherish to this day. Now, I will say they did a really fantastic job compared to how licensing collections are done now. Urban Decay did fantastic for what it was. So on the inside, if you open this up, you actually have the entire Westeros map right in here, which I think is really cool. And then when you look at the palette itself, you open it up this way, you're going to have a mirror with a whole Daenerys Targaryen quote right here that says, Lannister, Targaryen, Baratheon, Stark, Tyrell, they're all just spokes on the wheel. This one's on top and that one's on top, and on it spins, crushing those on the ground. Daenerys Targaryen. But what's so cool about this, and they don't even do this to this day, is you open up and it's the freaking throne. Like what? That is so freaking cool. And it has another quote on here. It says, never forget what you are. The rest of the world will not. Wear it like armor, and it can never be used to hurt against you, Tyrion Lannister. Like, come on, this is so cool. Like, brands don't do this nowadays. Brands do not do this nowadays. This was absolutely phenomenal. I was obsessed with this. No wonder why it sold out so quickly, because like this back into 2018, this was all the rage. Like people were like, this is so cool. This is so innovative. This is something we never see. And it really wasn't. It truly, really wasn't. And then you open the palette this way and you're going to have all 4 of the major houses. So this is going to be the eyeshadow palette right here. You're going to have the Winterfell, King's Landing, Bay of Dragons, and Hardhome right here. All the different houses kind of represented. Now, I will say the formula is very lackluster, besties. Even back then when I played with it, I even said the formula was just not it. Okay, majority of the shimmers are hard panned. They didn't really have much pigmentation to them. They blended, but they're very lackluster on the lid. The mattes, they work, but they definitely had some fallout and pigment, definitely had some fallout and some kick up in the pan. It was cool for what it was. I'm really glad that I did get my hands on this just because it was so viral. This was so mainstream. This was so viral. I mean, this is something that people were so anticipated getting their hands on. So I was really glad I got my hands on it, but the formula was an Urban Decay 2018 formula, and it was just very lackluster. So a 2028 so a 2026 Allie, buy this? Yes, I would. Surprisingly, yes, I would buy this. More so because it's Game of Thrones and you just don't see any other makeup brand doing this. From the packaging is very fun. The way they did the styling of the palette's really fun. And they really did a good job when it came to the Game of Thrones collab. But like the formula itself, oh my god, no, besties, it sucks. The color story, the color story is even that like a little shitty as well. But I would still buy it more so because of the licensed collab than anything else. So that is why at number 9 we do have the Game of Thrones collaboration with Urban Decay. Coming in at number 8, we do have the Natasha Denona Glam palette. Now there's so many other Natasha Denona palettes that were super viral at the time, like the bronze palette, the gold palette, the Metropolis palette. Like all those are huge name brand palettes for Natasha Denona back in the day. But one that really kind of gave them mainstream success was their Glam palette. And the reason being is because this is still successful to this day. This is still a palette that people still do buy and purchase because it really does offer everything that you need when it comes to an everyday palette. This is going to be that everyday palette you can use for work, sultry looks, dramatic looks, everyday looks, nighttime looks. Like it's such a versatile neutral palette. And I feel like that's why it just went so viral back in 2020 because it offered so much variety for some people out there that this can be like the best everyday glam palette. And this was probably one of their biggest mainstream successes back in 2020. It definitely surpassed some of the other ones, and this one's still holding to this day as being one of their best palettes that they had ever launched at the time. And I will say it is really pretty. Would 2026 Allie buy it? No. 2026 Allie would not buy this because it's just a color story that I don't gravitate to. Like, it's pretty, but like for me, I don't see anything special about it. The formula is still consistent with all the other Natasha Denona formulas, so that really hasn't changed too much, but I just don't really find it that appealing to me now like I did back then. I bought it back then because it was all the rage. It's something that everybody talked about. I had FOMO. I was like, oh my God, I have to get my hands on this. This is something that everybody's reviewing and talking about it. I need it. And then I bought it and I was like, oh, I'm such a color whore. Why did I buy this? You know what I mean? So for me, I have it for like nostalgia's sake, but for me, it just was a very lackluster palette now compared to what it was then. This was all the rage back then, but I personally would not really buy this, especially because like this came out in 2020. So this was all about the clean girl makeup or the no makeup looks because everybody's wearing face masks at the time. So this was just very much like that clean girl vibe, everyday vibe, very minimalistic makeup. That's why this palette just was so successful. So for me, I would not repurchase this now, but it is an iconic palette in the Natasha Denona line. So that is why at number 7, we do have the Glam palette from Natasha Denona. And at number 6, we have Miss Huda Beauty, and this is going to be the Rose Gold Remastered palette. So when she originally launched the Rose Gold palette, she launched it in 2016, and it gained so much success. But then for some reason, Huda Beauty decided to discontinue that palette, and it really pissed off a lot of people. I mean, like, I'm not crazy. I'm not kidding. It really pissed off the beauty community. So she decided to relaunch this palette back in 2018 with a little bit more of an updated design, a little bit more updated formula, and it actually ended up winning Allure's best eyeshadow palette of 2018. Can you believe that? Even though it had launched previously 2 years earlier, it actually claimed the 2018 spot for the best eyeshadow palette, and for good reason. It's a really, really beautiful palette. Now, I will say this is probably one of my first eyeshadow palettes that I bought from Huda Beauty. This one and the Desert palette. Do you guys remember that one as well? These are one of the first ones I ever really bought. I only played with this like one time. I never really played with this since, because when I found out how coveted this was and I found out how cherished this was, I was like, oh my gosh, I should hold on to this. Like, this is like a keepsake for me, right? And I never really did play with it too much. Now, I will say, would Allie from 2026 buy this now? No. This is a color story that I just don't gravitate to. You guys know me so well. Even though I do like neutral moments, I just feel like this is lacking for me. I feel like Huda Beauty has created other beautiful palettes since then that I gravitate more to, versus the Rose Gold Remaster. But this is one that I was really glad to get my hands on because it was super viral, super talked about. Everybody wanted the remastered version. Everybody was pissed when 2016 palette went away. But I was really glad that I got my hands on the 2018 version. Like, this was, like, for me, something that I still do cherish because, like I said, this one and the Desert Rose were one of the first palettes I ever bought in terms of like luxury, and well, at least luxury for me at the time. This was expensive for me, like $65. I was a server and I was like, I can't afford this, but I still bought it anyway because it was my birthday treat to myself, and I still cherish it. I still cherish it every step of the way. So yeah, coming in at number 7, we do have the Huda Beauty Rose Gold Remastered palette. Coming in at number 6, I have in my hands probably one of the most successful influencer palettes to date, and it is the Jaclyn Hill palette with Morphe. Now, when this launched, this sold out so many different times. They definitely relaunched it. They repackaged it. It sold millions of copies. It made Jaclyn millions of dollars in revenue, and it put Morphe's brand on the map. Like, Morphe became a household name that everybody talked about. Everybody had a code for Morphe, and everybody knew the Jaclyn Hill Morphe collaboration. Like I said, this made her millions of dollars, Bessie, because that's how successful this palette was. Now, this to me, when it first launched, even back then, okay, even when this first launched, I remember looking at this palette going, oh, it's okay. But I was like, I have to have this. Every single person's getting their hands on this palette. I have to have it too. It's Jaclyn Hill, like the Jaclyn Hill. Use code JACKATTACK. You guys remember it was Morphe, Jack Attack, every day had a Morphe code. And I just knew I could not miss out on this. So I went and bought it. And I did use it quite a few times. But looking at it now, this is a color story that, again, I would never repurchase. Like, 2026 Allie looks at this and goes, this is ugly. Like, for me, it's not a palette that I'm personally drawn to. Now, the formula in here is very reminiscent of the old Morphe formula. Now, Morphe, I feel like, has updated their formula since they did get rebranded, since they did get bought out by somebody else and they rebranded. Their formula has updated just a tad. Is it the most volume formula still? No, but it's better than what it was. This is the standard Morphe formula that we know from the brand. When all their artistry palettes, all their color stories, this is the typical formula. Even though Jaclyn said that this formula was formulated for her, It's the same damn formula, okay? Because it feels the exact same as all the other archery palettes that had launched at the time. Now, I will say, do I regret buying this? No, I'm still really glad that I got my hands on this, but this was one of the most successful influencer palettes to this day. I don't think we've ever seen a launch this big since. Maybe the Jeffree Star collaboration with Shane Dawson, but ultimately this was still a palette that people knew and loved and had to get their hands on. It got repackaged several times in different packaging. They ended up doing a volume 2 and then the Volt collection because of how successful this was. So that is why at number 6 we do have the Jaclyn Hill palette with Morphe. Coming in at number 5 we have Miss Dominique Cosmetics. This is going to be the Latte palette right here. Now this is going to be the first palette for Dominique Cosmetics, and Dominique Cosmetics is still around to this day. It's one of the few influencer brands besides Lunar Beauty and One Size that's still around to this day. A lot of other influencer brands who launched at that time, like think about at that time, most of them are closed down. Nakia Dragon, Laura Lee Los Angeles, Jaclyn Cosmetics, Marlene Still, like Makeup Geek, those have all shut down at the time, but Dominique Cosmetics is still around. This is actually my first ever palette review on my channel. This came out I think sometime in 2018 when I posted my first ever tutorial, and it was on this palette right here. It was on the Dominique Cosmetics Latte palette. Now I thought this formula was incredible. She made it with pressed pearls in here, so the shimmers were very buttery, very creamy. They blended like a dream, and it's just a beautiful everyday neutral palette. Now I will say, and I said it then, I'm gonna say it now, I hated the white packaging because it got dirty so easily. You guys see that? I always made it super dirty because I always played with this palette. Like I use this palette a lot, and it really got me to fall in love with the brand. I thought the formula was incredible for what it was at the time. Now looking back on it now, I still cherish this palette, but would I buy it now? No. I would not, because again, this is a color story that I look at going, it's just not for me. Not for me, not a color story that I really do gravitate to, but it was really great for what it was at the time. It truly was great for what it was at the time. And I remember it was like Dominique versus like Laura Lee for a while, because those two had like a fallout. They were not friends, and now they're friends again. But I just remember this was the first palette I ever reviewed over here on my channel. It's still up to this day. If you guys ever want to check out that horrendous eyeshadow review, it's still available. I mean, it's still live. And even though she no longer sells this is still a collection I'm always going to cherish, because this is what got my start here on YouTube. So that is why at number 5, we do have the Dominique Cosmetics Latte palette. And at number 4, this is probably one of the most expensive palettes I had ever bought back in the day, because I thought that $65 was expensive for a palette, but this one really took the cake for me. But yes, somehow I had to buy it. I had to buy it because I think I had true FOMO, and I was like, if I don't get this, like it's gonna sell out and I'll never be able to get my hands on it again. And it is the Pat McGrath Labs. This is going to be the Mothership Volume 5 Bronze Seduction palette. Now this retailed for $125. $125, and it comes in that classic Pat McGrath Labs, really heavy packaging. It does have a beautiful mirror in here, and this is one of her older formulas. Now this was actually really great for what it was. Truly really great for what it was. The mattes had great pigmentation to them, and those shimmers are just beautiful, but they blend it like a dream. They're creamy, they're buttery. You definitely got what you paid for it. For $125, you got exactly what you paid for, and this was so viral when this first launched, because this ended up being named one of the best palettes of 2019 from Allure magazine, because they even agreed that this was such a beautiful palette and well worth the $125. Like all of us were like, yep, we're doing it, because you know you're getting the quality that you paid for. Nowadays, would I buy this palette? No, absolutely not. I do feel like Pat McGrath Labs quality has definitely gone downhill. We've definitely talked about that over the years in my new makeup release videos. Ever since they ended up, kind of rebranding and restructuring, and just the formula is not the same. They definitely feel like they went with cheaper formula, but still keeping the same price point. They're not giving us anything new. They're not innovative. Now that they're kind of refiguring out their structure, and Pat McGrath Labs is staying on its creative director, we can definitely see where this brand's going to go from here. But I will say, back in 2019, this was incredible for what it was. I love the eye look. I love playing with this. This was definitely well worth it for me. So would 2026 Allie buy it now? I would. Honestly, I still would, because I know that this was a top tier formula for what it was. It's still really expensive, but I will say I did love this so much. I played this so much. So yeah, I still would buy this, surprisingly. If it was this quality, not what we know now, but the quality we know then, yeah, I'd still buy it. So that is why at number 4, we do have the Mothership palette Volume 5 Bronze Seduction from Pat McGrath Labs. Coming in at number 3, we have probably one of the most successful and sought after palettes that Anastasia Beverly Hills has ever created, and it is going to be the Soft Glam palette. Now, fun fact about this palette, it actually leaked a month early. Someone leaked it a month early. It's probably trend mood. Leaked it a month early, and ABH even announced like, yep, our palette got leaked. So what they ended up doing, instead of just launching it in March of 2018, they ended up launching it on February 14th of 2018, 1 month early. Since it got leaked early, they're like, you know what, it got leaked, let's just go ahead and just, you know, sell it now. And it sold instantaneously. It sold so well. It definitely surpassed its like older sister of the Modern Reticence palette. This is like a palette that every single OG YouTuber was doing reviews on. I was even doing reviews on it. Everybody who was in beauty at that time was either buying this palette or reviewing this palette, and for good reason. It is one of their most cult classic, most successful palettes to date. It was even mentioned in Allure Beauty for how it leaked and how well it sold right afterwards, because it did so very, very beautiful. It did so tremendously, and it performed way better than they originally expected it to. So this is one of the situations where brands saw a leak happen and was like, let's just roll with it. Nowadays, now if it was like Natasha Denona, she'd be like, lawsuit, lawsuit, lawsuit. You know what I mean? That's what I feel like she would do. But ABH is like, might as well just launch it, and they handled it so well. Now with 2026, Allie, buy this. Surprisingly, besties, I would. And I think the reason I would is because I love kind of like the darker tones right here. To me, this is a beautiful fall palette, even though it's not really meant for fall. I always see a lot of fall colors whenever I play with this palette. It's really beautiful. The formula still works really great. The formula still looks really great. It's a classic for a reason, and I just really, really, really enjoyed the soft glam palette. This is one of those palettes that you can use, again, every single day. I love the more warmer tones in this palette compared to other palettes I talked about. It's just really beautiful. Really beautiful, really beautiful, really perfect for what it was at the time, and very, very successful. So 2026, Allie would definitely repurchase it. I would probably request that these brushes go away because I just think they're just not worth it. But yeah, the palette itself, I would repurchase. And at number 2, this is my first ever palette that I ever bought from Milk Cosmetics, and it's going to be the Gemini palette. Actually, fun fact, this palette is what got me back into YouTube. So there was a time when I did YouTube back in 2018, and then I did take a 6-month break from YouTube, and the reason I came back is because I bought this palette right here. Now, the reason why I bought this palette is because of Raw Beauty Chrissy did a review, and I was like, oh, I have to get it. So this is going to be the Gemini palette from Milk Cosmetics, and this is the OG palette. I did not buy the remastered. I still have the original OG palette. Now, when this launched, besties, this sold out immediately, and it did not come back in stock for a very long time. Like, they did not restock this for a very long time, and it sold out so instantaneously that even Allure Beauty in their magazine said Milk Cosmetics launched their Gemini palette, sold out instantly. Like, even they had an article about how quick this sold out, and for a good reason. Like, look at the color story. It's grungy. It has beautiful green olives. It has neutral moments in here. It has fall colors in here, but mostly it's that grungy tone, that deep olive, those greens, those burnt browns and yellows. Those are colors that people really do not see with eyeshadow palettes, and they really loved the way that this was laid out. They loved the quality, they loved the formula, they loved everything about this palette, myself included. Now, would 2026 Allie buy this? Only if they remastered their formula. Now, this is their old formula, and while it was great for what it was at the time, now knowing my taste now, I prefer a different type of formula, and this to me is still 2017 2018 style formula, where the mattes are pigmented, but those shimmers are very gritty and very hard pan, and you have to like really dig your finger in them to like lay it on your lid and get it to last. I just had an issue with the formula, but the color story, absolutely. The color story is still everything I look for. It is such a beautiful palette. It's sold out for a reason. It was a palette they can never keep in stock because it's just that beautiful. And like I said, they did remaster this. They did launch it later on, and they ended up doing like a part 2, and while it's really beautiful, it never really beat the quality to me as the first original OG palette. So yeah, this is absolutely beautiful. This is a palette I'm still gonna always hold on to because it's like my OG Gemini palette. I still love it. It's still so beautiful. So that is why at number 2, we have Milk Cosmetics Gemini palette. Coming in at number 1, I have the very rare La Boo Boo. It is going to be the Tati Beauty Volume 1 palette. Now, this sold out within 12 hours of launch. Literally sold out within 12 hours of launch. It was so successful, and this is the one and only palette that Tati Beauty ever launched. When this launched back in October of 2019, I ended up buying 2 palettes. I bought one for myself, and I bought one for backup, and I actually ended up giving that backup to Manny Way years ago. When him and I first connected over on Instagram, we were talking. He said that he never got his hands on the palette, so I literally sent him I sent him my extra palette because I wanted him to have it, and he still has it to this day, mind you. He still has it to this day, but this was my most loved palette. I used this palette nonstop, and what's really unique about it was the different formulas. So she had the matte versions. She had a sequins version, a metallic version, and she had a glitter version. You didn't really see that with palettes that day. You didn't really see that with, you know, makeup palettes back in 2019. You just truly didn't. Either mattes, glitters, shimmers, and maybe some mattes with some shimmer in it. That was probably the most you ever saw, but this was like all of it in one. You never saw a palette that had all 4 different type of formulas, either one or the other. Like ColourPop was either just mattes and glitters or mattes and shimmers. That's pretty much what you got, and this was so viral. One of the things that made this so unique is that when Tati launched this, she invited all her like top, you know, some of her top subscribers to her launch party, gave the palettes away. It was such a unique thing for her to do at the time, and it was so successful. Like I said, it sold out within 12 hours, and then she ended up later on coming out with Wonderful, and that was the last launch that she ever had with Tati Beauty. She did create a volume 2, but volume 2 never saw the light of day because her brand did close down in 2021, so she never released her volume 2 palette. But this is such a rare palette. As you guys can see, I truly did love it because you guys can see that I hit pan on 3 of those glitters right here. And while I do not like glitter anymore, I will say these were beautiful for what they were. Truly were so beautiful for what they were. They were so long lasting, and I had so much fun with this palette. So would 2026 Allie buy this now? I still would. Honestly, I still would, because I can get so much use out of this. I truly could get so much use out of this. I absolutely got a lot of use out of this. I had so much fun with this one. I think Tati did a really good job, and I really thought that she could have done something with volume 2 and volume 3 had she ever continued it. And it was just such a masterpiece for what it was. And the fact that, like I said, it sold out and never got a chance to be restocked, ugh. My heart breaks for those who never got their hands on this one. So that is why it never won. We do have Tati Beauty, the Volume 1 palette. So those are my top 10 oldest palettes that I have in my collection. Like I said, this was so much fun to go down memory lane, to revisit palettes that I bought years ago, kind of remember, you know, how the launches were, how the formulas were, how the color stories were. This was so much fun, and definitely part of like my beauty history series. Like I said, I want to create that series here on YouTube. I had so much fun with my video last week, and I definitely want to do another one because it was just so much fun to talk about old makeup and nostalgia and controversy and drama. I don't know, it was just fun. So let me know in the comments below, what are your oldest palettes that you guys still have to this date, and would you right now repurchase that older palette? I want to hear from you. But with that said, besties, that is it for today's video. If you guys enjoyed today's video, please make sure you guys give this video a cheeky thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you guys have not already, because I do post 3 to 4 videos every single week. Make sure you guys head over to my other channel. It's R for Life. You guys get to see my cool, wonderful adventures, my amazing husband, Corey. And as always, the biggest thank you goes to these beautiful, wonderful page members you guys see right here. Thank you guys so much for everything. And to my subscribers and viewers, thank you guys so much for being here. Whether you guys like this video, you guys thumbs down this video, you guys subscribe, you guys did not subscribe, either way, thank you guys so much for being here. I love and appreciate each and every single one of you. So with that said, besties, I love you, and I'll see you guys in the very next video.